Hey, welcome to World Entertainment, and there's a new report saying that the opening weekend for Deadpool and Wolverine, that the numbers have been lowered in terms of what it's going to open at. Because there's been reports that it was going to open at $200+ million. They've lowered that estimate. Now, this isn't saying the movie's terrible, this isn't saying the movie's gonna bomb, it's in trouble, but it is interesting that they've lowered the estimates. Now, they do that all the time, and we're gonna have a look at this article that talks about this, and they even mention it, but they do it so if the movie comes in more than what they've now made the estimates, they make massive deals about, oh look, it smashed our predictions. And it's like, no, you originally had it higher than that, much higher. However, if it comes in below the new estimates, that's, I think, when they hit panic stations. Now that 200 million plus and what they've lowered to, that's worldwide, that's not a domestic number. Just in case people wondering, like, wow, that's a massive number for domestic. No, it's a worldwide number. And the number they've lowered to, now it is significantly lower than 200 and beyond, but it's still a massive number. So we'll have a look at this anyway. So it says, according to new reports, the box office for Deadpool and Wolverine is now tracking lower for a $160 to $165 million opening. That's a lot less than some estimates offering the film would open to 200 million and beyond. Some estimates have also said 175 million or more. That part is about them lowering it from the 200, but some may be saying they've lowered it to 175. So what could be happening is that the new estimate is more conservative, so when the flick gets released and pops with a larger number, it will make a good headline. That's the part we've just been talking about, where they lower it, comes out with more, and they go, oh my god, it blew all expectations. On the flip side, it's feared it could mean the hype isn't all that surrounding Deadpool and Wolverine. So they're releasing cameo spoilers online ahead of time, which reminds us of what they did with Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam with Henry Cavill as Superman. So yeah, they are starting to release the spoilers of the cameos. They've even released the TV spot that gives away the original Sabretooth. Why would you do that? So it says then, if Deadpool and Wolverine is tracking lower and ticket sales aren't where they want them to be, and social media engagement isn't as high as thought, all the talk has been about James Gunn filming Superman, now out comes all the spoilers. And that is exactly what's happening. So they've just saw a batch of Deadpool and Wolverine spoilers on Twitter by some wannabe fan shill account, likely from the China fan screening that was held a month before the movie's release. It reeks of desperation. Also recall how Disney fudged the numbers for Deadpool and Wolverine Super Bowl trailer in an attempt to make it look bigger than Spider-Man. And it said the pre-sale tickets sold only half as much as Spider-Man No Way Home, which opened to 260 million back in 2001. Yeah, they were trying to say it had the most views on YouTube in YouTube's history. That it just blew it all away. And then when you actually looked at it and broke it down, it's like, no, you didn't even come close to the Spider-Man numbers. Because what they were doing is, they were literally counting when you hold the mouse over the screen and it starts to play. They were counting that as views. So they were diddling the numbers as they always do. So it should be said that the 160 to 165 million is still a good number. But out of the gate, Disney and the trades have been stating that Deadpool and Wolverine opening would be the biggest of 2024. Still very well might be. It will be interesting to see what happens this weekend with Despicable Me 4, and if it can ride on the success of Inside Out 2, which hit $1 billion in 19 days, which I constantly said there's something weird with that. By the way, Despicable Me 4, its preview numbers was something like 24 million. It's already like crushing it. So the week Deadpool and Wolverine opens also sees a bit of competition, as a lot of hardcore fans will be at Comic-Con. And it's also the start of the Summer Olympics. Okay, Summer Olympics isn't going to affect it at all. At least outside of France. Isn't it France where it's been held? I think it's France. No one outside those type of areas really would care. So that's not going to affect it. Comic-Con will absolutely affect it for that area. Again, not everyone travels for Comic-Con. So yeah. Of course, it's opening on the 26th and yada 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 yada. So they have said that the tracking of the box office numbers in pre-sale tickets was massive. But then they came out and said, well, actually, it didn't do as good as this. So that was a bit of a red flag. Not a red flag in terms of, oh, it's going to be a bomb. Just in terms of, is there as much interest as they are trying to say? Then, of course, we're getting now this, that they are lowering the estimates, which they always do anyway. So that's not major, but it is telling how low they've lowered the estimates. And again, if it comes in below that, that's where they'll panic. And then, of course, that the spoilers are starting to be released. And the fact that they're even using some of the cameos in their TV spots now. That is a sign of desperation. This thing has an uphill battle. It really does, because it's an R-rated movie with the Deadpool humour, the Ryan Reynolds humour, which there's a lot of people who don't particularly gravitate to that, and there actually is. But when you look at how much all the other movies made, they're kind of leaning into, oh well, these characters will absolutely blow the box office. Okay, let's have a look at it. Because Deadpool and Deadpool 2, neither one of those movies made more than 800 million. They never reached 800 million. Neither one of them. Now, they're massive successes because they only cost 75 million to make. So they smashed their goals and whatnot, but they didn't crack 800 million. Logan, the movie that came out that people praised so much, people saw more than once, you know, they were calling for it to be up for Oscars, everything. R-rated, last outing, hugely popular character. That didn't even make $650 million at the box office. In fact, it only finished at 620. That's how much that made. So that didn't even make as much, or even come close to as much, as what the Deadpool movies have made. So you're kind of saying, really, those are the numbers these movies bring in. What makes you think all of a sudden it's going to be $1 billion franchise? And how much will the TVA and the multiverse angle that they're shoving in there and using to promote it, how much will that turn people off and turn them away? I think this movie, it's going to do well in terms of the numbers that we can visually see. It all comes down though to how much the budget is for this thing. If this makes money like the Deadpool movies, we're looking at it only finishing up around the 800 million. Personally, I think this thing is going to top out at around 850. That's good, depending once again on what the budget is. Because if the budget is well over 300, then it doesn't make money. It won't make money. And that is insane. We don't know what the budget is for this yet. You know, it has to be well over 300. With all these cameos and whatnot, all the effects, everything else like that, it has to be. They're probably going to come in and lowball you and tell you, oh, we made it for 210. No, you didn't. There's no way you got all these cameos and made it for 210. But I have a feeling that this movie might blow its load on its opening weekend and then kind of drop off. The question will be, of course, will it have legs? Will it be successful? If people go in and watch that movie and they come out and they're very mixed on it, it's bad news for the movie. If they go in and love it, I think it'll encourage more people to go and see it. if people come out and say the TVA have nothing to do with it, really, they're there, but they are not a major factor. All the other MCU stuff isn't a factor, and it doesn't set up the next MCU thing, I think you'll get a lot more people going to it. But I know for a fact, including myself, that first trailer when it dropped and the first thing you saw was TVA, I was out. I was like, nope, done. If a lot of people have that, I think this movie might struggle. And a lot of people think it's going to be $1 billion. I don't see it hitting $1 billion. I just don't. But we'll wait and see what happens. Only a couple of weeks before it comes out. So, with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.